to southern Appalachia at the higher elevations, of course.
Yes.
But still, it's nice this time of year, right?
And cold enough to make some good snow, too. So combination of things for you here. It is snowing in parts of New York, even Pennsylvania, so we'll get to that. Also, the West. I mean, yes, there is another atmospheric river setup coming in here again.
I mean, it's literally like, where's the fire? Because the hose is pointed somewhere, and it just does not want to stop. So more wet weather, more snowy weather as well is in play. So we're going to have to continue to watch those rivers and them rising.
And families are trying to figure out how to get through the week.
I think at least we're in a little bit of a lull right now, but we've got more coming in. Another setup of atmospheric rivers here. Another round of big rainfall, like 3 to 5 inches of rain. This time it's pointed a little further south. So we're talking more Oregon and Northern California with some of the biggest totals, as opposed to Washington, although we still have inches of rain coming in up there. You can see where we are right now, getting in that one push of moisture, and then behind it, there is more to come. It just seems endless, doesn't it, with these atmospheric rivers set up here, the storm system using up that moisture. Raining right now in Portland. We've got showers out there here in Washington, especially actually in eastern Washington, some rain around the Seattle area, and you see some of the heavier stuff here lingering just offshore of Northern California. That's going to be our trend today. Temperatures are still on the mild side, not as warm as we were, but we're still looking at temperatures running above average. And look what's coming, one after another. It just seems like there is no end in sight out here. We've got a endless pattern of showers and, watching for the snow too at especially higher elevations. Watching this forecast all the way through Sunday with the moisture coming on in. Again, the heaviest of precip will be down from Oregon into Northern California this time, but everyone gets in on it. And then that spreads over into the Mountain West, and we've got more snow coming for you across the Northern Rockies, into the Colorado Rockies, the Wasatch and Utah, all getting snow. Now let's talk about the flooding concerns, because this has been a big focus of these series of atmospheric rivers we've had already. A lot of the rivers are peaking today, but now we're going to bring in more water. And so we're going to be watching for that continued risk of flooding and flash flooding. On the scale, this is a Category 4. When you look at the scale, Category 5 is the highest. So we're up there in that upper echelon of atmospheric rivers, the kind that can bring more problems than they can bring benefits. We're going to be watching this rain coming in starting through today. Look at that. Watching into Friday, brief break, and then we bring it back into Saturday and Sunday with another round of rain coming in here, Greg, here. And with this, we'll see, I think, some stronger winds at times, which actually could be the trend across the northern tier.
You're exactly right, Jen. A very powerful system.
Yes, so let's look at Buffalo first. And we warm up. A lot of the country warms up. And Alex and I will talk about that here in about 6 minutes or 7 minutes. But in Buffalo, so we go from temperatures in the 50s, then we drop 10 degrees, then all of a sudden we drop more than that, all the way down to the 30s. Near freezing. We are going to see that changeover from rain to snow. How much time do we spend in the snow is part of the forecast challenge. So here comes the front in the east. At the same time, we're going to have some really strong winds associated with this whole weather system. So that's going to be a sort of a background to this weather pattern that we'll see into the weekend and into early next week even, that everybody will feel the wind. It will be very, very windy. And we will see that as we get you from, I would say, Sunday into Monday with some of those strongest winds sweeping all the way through the northeast. It'll be strong winds from the south ahead of it and strong winds from the west or northwest behind it. But what's also happening is that we do have this colder air coming in with the same kind of atmospheric profile that Alex was just talking about, where it's going to be cold aloft, but then warm near the ground. So you get it melting, you get rainfall, but then all of a sudden you get enough cold air in that perhaps we change over to some snow. The people that get rain, which is all of us at first, the rain is going to be heavy at times, especially here through the East Coast, watching Philly, New York, Boston with some heavy rainfall. Then behind it, we get into some of the colder air, and there will be some lake effect then in the following days here behind this storm system. This is your Euro forecast. There's some differences in it. It's a little bit slower. It does bring more cold air, so you see more changeover to snow, and that potential for accumulating snow is, again, because of that cold air behind the system and pretty far south as well. So there's the Euro model with snowfall. You can see all the way down through the Appalachians. Then we take you into the GFS with snowfall. It's much, much less. A lot of differences. We got days to track this year, but it's certainly one that folks are going to be talking about. And I think, Alex, just the fact that we've got completely unsettled weather. The wind will be a factor in creating airport delays. The rain is going to be affecting all your plans. And then we might even have some snow.
Yeah. So it's not looking so great. Let's just put it that way. Unless you want some snow, and some will get it. The question is how much and mention where.
Exactly.
At least right now. All right, well, the largest block of ice in the world. I'm fine when you're putting up the decorations for it to be a little milder, because, you know, the fingers kind of get a little numb. But once they're up, keep the chill around.
I do think the chill is a little more festive. However, the convenience of being warm is, you know, because even if it's raining, if it's warm, it's just easier to deal with, you know.
Yeah, I could see that. Festive times.
And it was a little chilly and rainy, I have to say. That
That's
east wind on Sunday got us. And it didn't matter because it was just so festive and Christmassy, and you know,
the holiday cheer. It doesn't matter. You can kind of deal with anything when the holiday decorations are up.
It warms your soul.
It does. Well,
but wow, that's I know there's a Christmas movie about an iceberg breaking off, and
that's a Christmas movie.
It's you know, one of the Christmas characters. It's like, you know, it's a very fun, lighthearted movie.
Yeah, we gotta watch out what's going on with that South Georgia island there. That's going to be hit soon, I guess, at some point. Well, let's talk about this warmth, because this will break up all the ice out there that's in place. I mean, really, really warm numbers for a spot like Rapid City for this time of the year. Average is right around 39. We've got upper 60s today.
We could be looking at some warmest December record temperatures here, and at the very least, a top 5 warmest temperature. These are numbers like you might see once every 10 years. You know, it's not, we don't get temperatures like this very often.
We really don't.
In December.
Yeah, this is wild. Now, we do see the numbers drop off by the time we get to Friday, but even with that drop off, we're still coming back down to slightly still above average by the time we get towards the end of the week.
Yeah, you look at the forecast today, it's 86 million above average, so we're really starting that warm up. Tomorrow's the day when you'll feel the biggest departures from average and when the most people feel it, 124 million above average. And then look at Friday, 174 million.
Yeah, we just continue to add folks as we start to bring in some of the populated cities in the east. So what's happening? The big ridge of high pressure that's kind of been in place in the west is going to be working its way eastbound over the next few days, and that's just going to allow for the warmer conditions to push off towards the east.
So temperatures are warming up. I mean, it might be feeling more like April than December for many of you. We're getting into that range where we're 15 to 25 degrees above average. 25 plus above average, that puts you in record territory.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. So here we are today, Billings in Montana up to 60, 61 in Bismarck. I mean, this is wild. 66 in North Platte. Again, very, very mild weather conditions for us. Heading into tomorrow, we are going to continue to see some of that just pushing a bit farther east.
Wasn't it just snowing the other day in Minneapolis?
Yes. And now
we've got temps in the 50s. Tomorrow we're getting warmer as we get into Friday. So who's setting records? Let's check it out. Grand Forks, 50 degrees. That would set a new record. Omaha, 60 is not a record.
But you're close.
But you're close. Yeah, boy, it's
Marquette,
up there.
Michigan. How about that? 42, right? Wow. Well, you know, the fast-moving Canadian Clipper didn't.
Then helping fuel the next storm for the middle of the country. And we could see heavy rain and severe storms all along the southern tier.
Yeah, got to be prepared for all threats and hazards that could be at play.
Yes. All right. So we want to talk about that here, coming up with the next system to really get going in the middle of the nation and then evolving through the weekend, too. Let's start in the south and look at your weather today, where a lot of sunshine out there, a little on the cooler side for some, but everything is changing.
Yes, that's going to be the key, changing conditions. So we'll really want to enjoy what we've got today, which should be a pretty nice kind of early December day for a lot of us. Yeah, a little coolish, but overall, it could be a lot worse.
Yes. Now, as we get you into the weekend, well, even starting Friday, now we start to get into some potential storms and maybe even severe weather. So there's a chance of that. We're going to watch from Oklahoma into Arkansas on Friday, then Saturday, still Arkansas, but now we're bringing in Louisiana and even Mississippi.
So remember, we had this risk of severe thunderstorms last week, bringing back the risk again here as we head on through this weekend. You may be thinking, why are we dealing with severe weather? December. Well, when it comes to the month of December, when it comes to the average tornado risk area, greatest year, lower Mississippi Valley and parts of the South. So this is kind of par for the course.
Yeah, I mean, and certainly in an El Nino year, you would expect an above average chance of storms down here, which is, you know, a storm track that we will see. We watch Saturday, the front coming in. It's a strong front. Ahead of it, there'll be a lot of lift, a lot of wind energy in the atmosphere. That wind energy, I think, is a big part of this here as we watch for that risk of storms that may go severe.
Yeah, so even outside of some of the thunderstorms, expect some pretty windy conditions to really set up here for us, and even eventually potentially down the road, parts of the East Coast will get involved in this as well. Now, not just the severe risk, but the heavy rain threat that extends pretty far north to the 70 corridor. So there is going to be the opportunity for some flash flooding.
Yeah, New Orleans, I did a check. We're still running about 23 inches behind for the year, but for the month we're above average. And the fall really wasn't that bad. It was just the start of the year was so dry it seems impossible to catch up.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to bring in some additional rainfall, so that'll add to the bucket there, pushing things eastbound. So it is progressing. That's the thing. It's not going to hang around forever. Progressive motion with the wet weather and the storms. So it moves through fairly quickly before we see things drying out.
Just one model forecast here, but we'll keep watching what happens. Either way, there's going to be rain coming in for your weekend across parts of the southeast yet again. All right, so then let's talk about how this affects the northeast here.
Washington State are waking up underwater.
CBS News correspondent Carter Evans has a closer look at the mess left behind by all of this water. And there is more rain coming into those rivers, too. I think for Washington, anyway, the heaviest of rain will be south of here. But we obviously have rain.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see that forecast in Seattle. We're calling for it basically every day. We get a bit of a break Friday. Then it comes right back in for the weekend.
Yeah, and temperatures are going to cool down a bit, too, compared to what, the 50s and 60s, and even that we've been dealing with out here. And that's key, actually, because the fact that it's been so mild is really part of the challenge with, it's more rain than snow anywhere.
Yeah, and helping to melt some of the snow that we've already dealt with. So here's what's to come through Sunday. More pockets of 3 to 5 inches when that rain comes down. Northwest California into Oregon as well. Jen, you talked about the heaviest of the rain coming in south of Washington for the most part, even though there will still be some rain off to the north as well.
And we're already getting some rain right now in Oregon, including around Portland, and we've got rain spreading all the way down the coast, Eugene, Medford, Northern California. We're about to get hit with some of the heaviest of rain that we're going to get out of this next series.
Right now, 50s for you, Newport down towards Crescent City. A little chillier as you up towards Seattle right now, 49. Even Spokane seeing some showers at 46 degrees.
It's unending, this atmospheric river setup. There is one system after another coming in, so we see that continuing through the end of the weekend to the weekend, another one coming in Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, it's just lined up, and so that hose will continue to get pointed here into the northwest. Heavy rain at times, and yes, some heavy snow getting a chance to pile up. So with all that being said, watch for more flooding. Flood watches up through at least tomorrow, and I'd imagine extending even beyond that.
So the atmospheric river on the scale, which goes from a Category 1 to a Category 5, we're at a Category 4. So we're talking upper echelon. There's going to be impacts, some big impacts beyond. We think of atmospheric rivers as being beneficial, brings the moisture in. But when you get to Cat 4 and 5, they're usually more problematic.
And we just saw some of the issues that we've been facing there in Washington. So here we go, marching from our Wednesday and beyond. More of that rain. We'll see some of the snow through the interior. There's the kind of break in the action as we get into our Friday. So enjoy that Friday here in the Northwest, but it's very brief, coming right back here for the weekend.
Look at Saturday again, and then again the mountain snow coming in too. So snow for the weekend here, ski resorts. I mean, it's been a great start to your season. We've got more coming in. Another
2 feet plus.
Yeah.
Cascades.
Yeah. Oh, 2 feet plus. Yeah.
Well, don't forget, question to be warmer.
Well, I mean, if we were paying attention to our forecast, which we did earlier in the show, we showed both of these.
I don't remember.
They were close. I think they were very close, but I'm going to go Grand Forks as well.
All right, guys, we're going to reveal the answer. Okay. And the answer is?
1 or 2 degrees matters.
Why make it easy when you can make it hard? That's true. Right, so that's what we're going to do. We have.
You're asking about today.
Today.
So we can't skip ahead. Omaha. Yeah.
Omaha. So I'm getting a sense here. I hear Peyton Manning in the distance. Well, that's going to be easy.
This is not going to be easy.
More sun in Atlanta, so it might feel hotter,
No, there's that. There is that. Okay. And we're not factoring direction, I think, has a lot to do with it today. I'm just taking a guess. I think we have a downsloping wind in Bozeman.
Yeah, you're right.
So let's have a look. We've got one more.
Probably an east wind in St. Louis.
It's probably right, Jen. I think you're right.
2 degrees, Tallahassee.
Yeah. Well, let's check out the answer.
No,
that would be a real high-scoring game.
Florida State would be upset if they lost 68 to 61.
I didn't want to bring up football. I haven't seen Alex.
Even more upset than they are now.
Yeah.
Poor Seminoles.
Wow, 68 to 61.
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a close one. And the Florida, we have that north wind, right, Jen? Jen and I are on the same page for this. So anyway, we've got lots more to come.
Right? No.
You know what? We're going to have.
Yeah.
We're going to have more of these games to play, so you're going to want to tune back in at 50 past next hour. We've got a whole bunch of new cities coming up.
I love game day.
You're right about all of that.
I mean, Buffalo versus Denver and the ups and downs.
Ooh, that would be a good matchup.
Yeah.
I'd probably lean Denver on the ups and downs.
I think so, too. Freaky. Oh, boy.
Oh, man. Glad that all ended well.
Yes. Welcome back, everyone. We are here with you through the mid-morning hours to get you ready for the big events in your neighborhood.
That's right. The Weather Channel has you covered from coast to coast, and we've certainly been dealing with the issues across the coasts, right? The West Coast has been so soggy, so wet. And in the East, how about our Clipper, which is allowed for some snow to get going.
Southern Appalachia. I mean, I've seen some reports of over 4 inches, close to 5 inches in West Virginia. This is where is this in North
Valley,
Carolina?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Holy cow! So it's snowing.
Oh, whoa. Did you see that guy?
No.
He almost bought it, yeah.
Oh boy!
But he
oh, boy.
recovered.
Yeah.
Snowboarding.
Yeah.
How about them apples?
Oh, look at that. Now he's doing tricks.
He knows he's on.
Yeah.
He knows we're watching. But the idea, or she, but the idea is that we're seeing snow at the higher elevations of North Carolina and Tennessee right now.
Yeah, and it's cold enough to make snow too, and I'm sure they'll have the snow guns going when they can out here, trying to get the all the terrain open. We're also watching though in the west more rain. I mean, it is relentless out here with these atmospheric rivers.
Yeah, this is one of those where when you talk about atmospheric rivers, right, some of them can be helpful, beneficial. This is one of those where it kind of gets a little bit more to the extreme levels of being harmful.
We saw some river levels that were...
Yeah. So that's going to be something we watch here in the forecast as we see more of this heading your way.
Right. And families are trying to figure out how...
It just seems, I had to double check. This is rain, right? Not snow. This is rain. Inches. 9 inches, 10 inches, 15 inches. Swift Creek, Washington, 15 inches of rainfall. That's why we've had so many problems on the rivers up here. In Skykomish, nearly 10 inches. Granite Falls, nearly 10 inches. Foss, Oregon, nearly 10 inches. Spencer Meadows, 9 inches of rainfall. So it has been tremendous with the amount of rain we've just had. Everything is very saturated, and that's why it's a problem that we're getting another 3 to 5 inches of rain. And you notice that it's, yes, along the coast where most of our moisture comes in first, but then coming up the Cascades, we're going to be watching those snow levels really high again. I mean, while it's not as warm as it was earlier this week, it's still pretty mild out there. So the snow levels will be high. That means there'll be more rain falling. Now, here's that next system coming in right now. Then we've got the next one lined up, and there's another one behind that here. It is just a very stormy jet stream track up here across the northern tier of the Pacific. It's not a Pineapple Express here. I should say that because you're probably here from time to time. Hawaii's all the way down here at the very bottom of the screen. You can probably barely see it. And so a Pineapple Express is just a nickname for an atmospheric river, and usually when they connect back with where the Hawaiian Islands are. So we don't have that. But we do have an atmospheric river, and it's bringing in the rain. Portland right now, we've got showers out there. More to come as we get you through the end of the week into the weekend. And so there'll be a brief break, I think Friday into maybe early Saturday, but then after that, here we go. It's still on. Biggest rain is going to be Oregon this time, maybe Northern California, but flood watches do extend up and down the coast, and this goes at least through tomorrow. But we'll see, I think, that be extended as we get into the weekend. This will be a Category 4 on the atmospheric river scale, which goes to 5. And, Greg, we know that once we get up to a Cat 4 or higher atmospheric river, these often bring more problems than they are beneficial. And bigger deal. This system here has a lot going on with it as we see across the Midwest into the Northeast. Buffalo, we start as rain. In fact, it's quite mild on Saturday. Temps are nearly 60. Don't get too used to that. By the time we get to Sunday, we drop about 7 degrees. We've got rain coming down. We're still 50 degrees, but by Sunday night, now we start to get into wintry weather territories. We drop to 33 degrees, and we start to see that changeover. So we're going to watch the front do that here. Ahead of it, a lot of warm air. We're going to be watching rainfall, some heavy at times, a lot of wind for everybody here through the Northeast, both ahead of it with some strong southerly winds and then behind it with some stronger westerly or northwesterly winds. The front moves all the way here through New England by the time we get into the end of Monday. Now, behind it, the colder air does come in too with those west and northwest winds, so we'll see a changeover to snow. Some of you might stay as all snow, like up at elevation, but as we look at the forecast here getting into the weekend, we got to keep an eye on that potential. Now, this is a GFS model. This is much warmer. Most of us rain. Sunday night, maybe we see that changeover, but it's very sloppy out there. It's not necessarily guaranteed that you'll be in the snow long enough to get any significant accumulation here, especially the further south you go. But then we look at the European model, and this one has more colder air to work with. So watching that forecast now, this is your Saturday. Keep that going into Sunday. Here comes the rain, heavy at times, but then here comes the snow, which also could be heavy at times. And by the way, all all of us get some wind. Models, again, very different in the amounts that we're going to see out of this. But the one thing that's in common is for everyone, it's going to be windy. So,
yes,
decorations, et cetera, make sure those are all secure. I think that can mean some airport delays. And just for the second week in a row, we're going to have rain in the Northeast.
Are we back to that?
Sunday.
Are we back to that pattern where we were dealing with rain every weekend in the Northeast?
Though I think like last weekend, this weekend, you'll have one nice day, one not.
So we'll take a 50-50.
Yeah, a 50-50.
All right. Well, the largest block of ice in the world.
My younger daughter was in California for a soccer tournament, and they were all decorated. But it was so warm, like in the 70s. And she said that was really weird.
It is weird. Yeah, I spent Miami.
That's
what
you're used to.
Exactly.
And that feels like the holidays.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, head to Threads.
We need the walrus slurping ability. Who knew?
Oh, my goodness. All right, let's talk about some of this warmth because it is pretty warm. I'm sure that walrus would be like, what is happening right now in a spot like Rapid City? I mean, we're nearly 30 degrees above average for today.
These temperatures, we're flirting with records. In some cases, we're looking at a top 5 December record temperature. And in many cases, these are temperatures you don't see every year, maybe once every 10 years in terms of getting into the 60s for multiple days in December.
Yeah, it's wild. Now, it does cool down a bit, but even then, it's still going to be a slightly above average. So overall, not just there in Rapid City, we have a lot of the population that's going to be dealing with these above average highs over the next few days.
Yeah, so tomorrow it extends to 124 million above average. That'll be our biggest departures from average. But then we go to Friday and we've got even more people in on the action with 174 million above average.
Yeah, so basically the ridge that's been in the west is kind of shifting eastbound. So the warmth there will just continue to kind of work its way off towards the east today, tomorrow, and heading on into our Friday as well. So yeah, everyone's going to kind of get involved in this warm up for the next few days.
Once you get to temperatures 15 to 25 degrees above average, it means you're in record territory. So, I mean, that's a very large area across the Dakotas, into Minnesota. We're going to see temperatures even in all through this entire region going at least above average, if not close to record breaking.
Yeah, I mean, we got 60s all the way up towards Billings and Bismarck for today. And then as we work into tomorrow, those areas come down a bit with the numbers. But look at 70s. Dodge City there, 72 for tomorrow.
Yeah, enjoying a 70-degree day in Dallas tomorrow. The warmth continues to spread. Nashville going to 60. Grand Forks, we get to 50. That would break a record. Interesting in Omaha, your 60-degree temperature tomorrow is not record breaking.
Yeah. But it's close.
It's close.
Very close. Mitchell, pretty good bet, will break that record. Waterloo in Iowa, decent shot there. And in Marquette, 41 we're forecasting, with the record being 38 degrees. So, yeah, there'll be records falling. And remember, it's not just going to be temperatures in terms of highs, but lows for some areas over the next few days.
Yeah, it just won't be that cold. You get a break from all the big jackets and the boots. Just a small fuel storm in the middle of the country. And we could see some heavy rain and severe storms actually over the southern tier.
Yeah, absolutely. So got to be prepared for all the threats and hazards that could be at play.
Let's look at the forecast. So it was bound to happen that, with all of these storms pummeling the Northwest, that one of them was going to cross over and create some pretty active weather in the middle of the country.
Yes, so we're going to be watching out for that. Today, though, I tell you, not looking too bad at all. We've got a good bit of sunshine out there from southeast Texas through the lower Mississippi Valley and into the Sunshine State.
I'm studying a little bit for the forecast, Who's Hotter forecast that we've got coming up. There's a little game show. If you haven't been watching, there's a game show coming up in about 20 minutes, and you want to look at this a little closer, just saying. But no, yes, a good day today. But that's all going to change by the time we get to the weekend. Chance of storms comes in, heavy rainfall, all of it, even the chance for severe weather.
Yeah, so watching that threat Friday and into Saturday here for you across the southern tier. The same system that's going to bring some wet weather, maybe some snow to the northern tier. We'll see how that plays out. But farther to the south, it's the severe threat. And here in December, this is where you would tend to find it here. This is the average tornado risk area, and you can clearly see kind of matches up pretty closely with where we have the threat for the severe weather this weekend.
Especially in an El Nino year, which, we've got a pretty strong to moderate El Nino going on. So watching for the forecast on Saturday to become quickly unsettled with rainfall heavy at times, at risk for severe weather. Here comes the front, and the front itself out ahead of it, strong winds, behind it, strong winds at all levels of the atmosphere.
Yeah, so one thing that we can pretty much be very confident in is windy weather is going to be in place. Some will have to be accompanied by some of the severe thunderstorms as well as this whole system progresses east. Now, farther south, south, yes, this is severe risk, but as you head northbound, we have the risk for some flash flooding. That gets all the way up past the Ohio River Valley.
Yeah, so watching this rainfall through the day on Saturday, extending all the way from Texas up into Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio will get some out of this as well. Now, this is one model, it's a zero model, which happens to have a little more cold air behind it. So could you have some snow down to Middle Tennessee? Maybe. And that's a big maybe.
Yes. Yeah. Wouldn't bet my house on that right now. As far as the precip goes, there's a GFS American model, and there's going to be some pockets here of a moderate wet weather to have to deal with here. But overall, just know things become a bit more unsettled as the system moves on through.
Yeah, it extends up to the north as well, Greg.
Yeah, Jen and Alex, you guys are right. And
estimate the power of water.
Meteorologist Alex Wilson shows you how to be safe should floodwaters begin to rise. Yes, well, we've got more rain coming in, and the ground is just so saturated after like more than 10 inches of rainfall in some spots.
That's a lot.
Tremendous.
And we've got more to add on top of that. Seattle, look at your forecast. You're not drying out anytime soon. Maybe Friday is where you get a bit of a break, but it's short-lived. Right back to dealing with the rain heading through our weekend.
Yeah, at least it gets cooler. You know, I mean, that's not that I want you to have a cold rain, but the fact that it was so mild for so long, it was a problem.
Definitely hasn't helped us out in that department, because that also helps and aids in snow melting, which eventually feeds into some of these rivers. So here we are through Sunday, more additional rainfall. Looks like centered here in terms of the heaviest. Oregon, 3 to 5 inches, pretty widespread when it comes to the rain.
Yes, so we've got this coming in, you know, some starting today, but then continuing through the weekend. So again, that Friday is your brief break, and that's it really when you look at this forecast. Rainfall, it's already happening out there right now in Portland. There'll be a few showers around Seattle and down into Northern California, like around Redding.
Not too bad as you head east. That's where you'll find some drier skies, but they may not last too long because, again, several systems, they are lined up. It's like the Macy's holiday parade going on, right?
Thanksgiving Day parade.
They are lined up, and so those will all come on in and help to reinvigorate and enhance the threat for the precip, rain and snow.
It's a good analogy. They're kind of spaced out that you don't get too much of a break in between them. So, you know, there'll be, again, a little break maybe Friday, but there's more to come. And again, this is an atmospheric river setup, so a lot of moisture contained within these storms.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we are looking at the flood watches in place, and these go through tomorrow. But as we showed you, with more additional rainfall coming in, I'd imagine we will see flood watches extend beyond that time frame.
The atmospheric river is a Category 4, and there's a scale that goes from 1 to 5. Once you get up to Cat 4 and Cat 5, it's the upper echelon. These are typically more problematic than they are beneficial. And now we're looking at that really focused in on Oregon, maybe up into southern Washington, but Oregon's really going to take the brunt of this next series of storms.
Absolutely. So watching for the impacts, not beneficial here to us. We've gone beyond that stage in a lot of these areas, but you can see how this all plays out. We'll see some of the precip extend in to the interior parts of the west. We start to see the break in the action. We talked about Friday, so there's your day to kind of enjoy a dry time. But it is quickly over with by the time we get to the weekend.
Yep, and here we go. The next one comes in now. Everything is colder. So now we've got more snow to talk about, especially in the interior. And we'll watch for that in the mountains of Idaho. I mean, Boise will get some snow, but especially go farther to the north up there and around Jackson Hole. We've got another maybe foot plus of snowfall.
How about more than that? 2 feet plus in the Cascades.
Yeah.
Just to add up.
That's where all the moisture
Ooh,
is.
Indeed, indeed. So here you are in Portland. There's the break Friday. Saturday, Sunday, back to rain. But hey, brighter times maybe by Tuesday. Well, as the threats change.
Now, this is important. So we're going to start off today with our
Going Jackson today.
Whoa, okay. I don't know the answer.
Much above average it is there in the middle of the country. And so that kind of was a key point of all this.
Yeah, thank you for that.
More cities. Can you believe it? We've got more to talk about, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got a couple more cities. Jay, the plains are beating the southeast.
That west wind, the downslooping wind.
That's right.
That's what it can do.
Yeah. The wind direction is everything.
Yeah.
It's so much, especially this time of year. Jen, you're exactly right. We've got, can you believe it?
Super close.
Wow.
Well, how about them apples, right? I like it. So we did pretty good. Oh, we've got one more.
Oh, okay. All right. Stepped outside this morning.
I know, it was really cold. It was colder than I expected.
Yeah.
I forgot the leg warmers, and that was a big problem.
That was a blast.
I
think we should do this every block, every day.
Yeah, that was really fun.
You're such a great host.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, we are talking temperatures. Oh. So here's the thing, Andrew. Don't worry. It is going to warm up, but it'll cool down here in short order.
Yeah, don't worry. You know it's going to come. Eventually, we're going to get to a point where we're all like, please take the cold away.
I know. You can go to Threads, send us your comments, vote in our poll, and we will.
I see what you did there.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here with you through the mid-morning hours to get you ready for all the big events in your neighborhood.
It was utterly fantastic.
Oh, my gosh. I'm going to cut it off before we go down this rabbit hole. The Weather Channel has you covered from coast to coast. How about the snow in parts of the east? Our Clipper system that brought a little bit of snow there to parts of the Great Lakes region. A little bit more snow into parts of the Appalachian chain.
Yeah, we saw some. Here's a current picture. This is in North Carolina and the higher elevations. We're seeing some snow right now. And I honestly thought there'd be a little bit more in North Carolina, but we got some. And they're making snow too, Jen, you were saying, right?
They are, yeah. I'm just watching people ski right now.
Jen's waiting for someone to bite the dust away.
I know, I do. I love skiing, and I love watching people ski.
We
Somebody had fallen at the top. Yeah, he's having trouble.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there we go. How about that? Well, you know what? We did have even more snow than this a little farther north in parts of West Virginia. In the higher elevations, we saw almost 5 inches of snow earlier this morning. So we got plenty of it in Appalachia.
It makes me so nervous.
Like you saw that one guy come down on our left as we're looking at it, and there's another guy kind of going slower. And so when you're the faster person, or when you're the slower person, you don't know what the other's going to do, right? So
you never know.
Yeah. Anyway, on with the show.
Well, this is a great picture. Reminds us that you can get snow in the South, even in early December.
Yeah.
Now, in the Pacific Northwest, we've actually had more rain than snow. These last couple of systems, in particular this last one, was so warm. The snow levels were so high, and just the amount of moisture that brought in was just incredible.
I mean, double-digit totals in terms of rain.
Yeah.
That's a lot coming on in here. And so there have been some issues here. This has not been a good situation. Oftentimes you get these rivers setting up. It's like, oh, great, we need the rain, help us out. This was a bit over that here, having to contend with this, and there's more to come.
There's more to come. And, you know, families are trying to figure out how to...
Out there, snow at the upper levels. It's still fairly mild, so it's still more rain than anything else. Just adding to these tremendous totals. Swift Creek, Washington, and I had to double check this. This is rain totals, right? Yes. 15 inches of rain in the last 48 hours. Skykomish, nearly 10 inches. In Granite Falls, we had nearly 10 as well. So no surprise that we've been dealing with a lot of river concerns. Now check the rivers out here in the gauges. Most of them hit their peak early today, and they'll start coming down. But we still got at least, I think 14 gauges. We're still at least moderate flooding. So we still have some problems out there. And with more rain coming in, we got to keep an eye on these gauges, especially now in Oregon, because now that's where we're going to get the biggest push of moisture. Last couple of storms, it was more Washington State. Now it's going to be Oregon and into Northern California. A couple of storms lined up, ready to go. One coming in right now, another one out there, another one on its heels as well. Very active jet stream pattern here. This is the northern branch of the jet stream. And by the way, you might have heard this called a Pineapple Express. Technically, it's not. I mean, Pineapple Express is just a nickname for an atmospheric river that would come down from around Hawaii. And Hawaii's way down at the very bottom of the screen there. You kind of get a little bit of the islands. So this is much farther north than that here. But it's an atmospheric river, and these things bring a lot of moisture. And these series will as well, just like we previously saw. Watching for around Portland and Newport and Eugene. It is raining right now. Seattle, not raining at the moment, but there's more to come in with this relentless line of storms ready and poised to move into the Pacific Northwest. Snow, we'll be watching this as well, getting through the Sunday time frame here. Snow levels will be steadily dropping with each progressive storm system that comes in as some colder air does come in. And the jet stream kind of changes its shape a bit. Now, we've got a look at the flood watches that are up. This goes through tomorrow. I think there will likely be new ones reissued to get us through the weekend, because we do have an atmospheric river set up with a Category 4 atmospheric river. Once you get to Cat 4 and 5, that is one that might have multiple days worth of rain coming on in, and also just the higher amounts. So we are looking at that risk of more problems than we are necessarily benefits coming in out of this. Rainfall through Thursday, then here comes our brief break on Friday, but you can see the next system looming out there. And Alex, this comes on in, bringing the mountain snow as we get right through the weekend here. All right, so Greg, as we watch all of this, eventually one of these has got to cross, and as we focus in on the track of this front heading through the Northeast. Buffalo, we were just looking at your tower cam out there, a little cloudy for now, yes, but your trend is that we're going to be warming up. not that the sun's going to be coming out. It's going to stay cloudy. We know our December weather here in Buffalo, but we warm up to the 50s, mid-50s, and then we get rain come in Saturday and Sunday. By Sunday night, now the front comes through. We see the temperatures start dropping, oh so close to that freezing mark, and we're going to be flirting with snowfall. There definitely will be a changeover. The question is, how much time will we spend on the snowy side of things? We watch the front out ahead of it, really strong, gusty south winds. That'll be bringing up the moisture, also bringing up some of the warm air as well. And, this is going to be a story that affects all of us with the wind through the northeast. Behind the front, we see the winds turn around west or northwest, and that does bring in the cooler air. So again, we've got that potential for a changeover to snow. We're going to keep an eye on it. This is Monday, back across central and western New York, maybe northern Pennsylvania, western Pennsylvania. The models are still very different on how this is going to play out. And look, we're still several days out, and this kind of situation is a tricky forecast. So not surprising that there's differences in it. This is the GFS model, has some changeover, but it's kind of a sloppy, wet situation with some snow and rain mixing in behind the front. Really heavy rain out ahead of it, though, here. That's a given. Everyone's kind of convinced on that one. It's out of here by later on Monday. Going to the European model to show you how this comes in with rain first. Cleveland, Buffalo, here comes your rain, Pittsburgh. But then behind it, we do have more of a market changeover to some snow. And you see that sweeping on through the northeast. Again, it is moving pretty fast, though, so it's not like we sit in it for a long period of time. Lake effect snow will be a thing back Monday into Tuesday here across the lakes. This is one model, European model, again, snowier than the GFS model, which is in general more rainier here with just maybe a brief changeover. But there's a lot of rain. I mean, we could be talking about inches of rain, a lot of wind. So, Alex, I think it's going to bring a lot of problems when it comes to your travel on Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I feel like this in December, every weekend is a travel weekend.
You almost have to just accept it. If you're going to travel at this time of the year, you're going to find some problems. Yeah, unfortunately. Well, how about the largest block of ice in the world?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. And I do like winter clothes and boots, so it's good to have a chance to wear those. It doesn't get cold enough, and to bring out your big sweaters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Positives.
So, yeah, well, this week for some of us, probably not bringing out the big coats and the sweaters out there. We're talking near 70 in places like Rapid City.
You might go back to sandals for the few days.
What is up with that? All right. Well, make sure you head to Threads, vote in our poll, send us your comments. Any pictures you want to share? Maybe you have your... Wow.
Iceberg Alley.
All right.
We're not on it here.
Not at all. This is, my goodness, warm times in a spot like Rapid City. And that's just one example here where today we're going to be close to 30 degrees above our average there, 67 for our high. And we'll stay with the 60s even for tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, you are just not wearing a big jacket. You're probably not wearing a jacket at all because it's Rapid City and you're used to 39 degrees.
I put sandals and probably in shorts are out there in Rapid City. Now, this week, again, we're going to expand the number of folks dealing with some of the above average highs, peaking Friday up to 174 million above average there for your Friday.
Yeah. OK, so when you get these big departures, 25 degrees above average, now we're talking record territory. It's all because of this big ridge of high pressure, and that slides east as we get through the week.
So we're just going to see these areas eastbound getting warmer and warmer. And Jen, you talked about how much above average it's going to be, 15, 25 degrees above average. You get to those values, you're talking about records that may be breaking.
All right, so numbers go up to nearly 70 in Denver, Dodge City, Midland, Dallas, going to be 66 degrees here. So a lot of really warm temperatures. But the fact that we're going to be 61 in Bismarck in December?
Yeah, something not right about that, right? Tomorrow, keeping it warm in Dodge City. How about that 72 for you there, up to 63 in Kansas City. And again, more 70s pretty widespread there as you head down into the Lone Star State.
All right, so let's see just how close to record breaking we are going to be. Grand Forks, we go to 48 degrees. That breaks the old record of 47.
Ooh, yep. Close in Omaha, 60, which is plenty warm, right? Maybe a degree shy, but we'll be within range. I think blasting by the record, though, in Mitchell, South Dakota. 5 degrees, we could break that record.
I mean, most spots were record breaking. Look at Waterloo, 57, breaking the old record, but it's not by a lot, interestingly. You know, 1916, 1918, those were hot years.
It must have been.
Decembers.
Exactly. By the time we get to Friday, again, we're still very warm across the southern tier and even farther north as well, for that matter. I mean, we're in the mid 50s around Chicago. 55 in Cleveland, 60s all the way up towards the Ohio River Valley as well. So mild way to work our way towards the end of the week.
And then it gets erased.
Much colder. There's that up and down. Denver, we talked about them, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be moving down this week. While the fast-moving Canadian Clipper didn't really stick around.
Atmospheric rivers helping fuel a storm in the middle of the country. We could see heavy rain and severe storms along the southern tier.
I got to be prepared for all threats as well as hazards that could be at play from the shores of Galveston, Texas to the highways around Little Rock and beyond. A very unsettled way to work our way towards the weekend is what we have in store here.
Here we go. So we start with sunshine today and tomorrow looking pretty good. Temps a little on the cooler side today, but we'll have the sun. That'll make it feel good out there.
Yes, it is really a pretty decent day to work our way through this early part of the month. And we want to soak it up because look what is on the way. The risk for storms, and some of those could be severe.
Yeah, so Friday we keep an eye, Oklahoma, Arkansas. Saturday, still have Arkansas in the mix, but now we stretch it over to Mississippi, extending back down into Texas, Louisiana. You're right in the heart of it. And at this point, really, all modes of severe weather are going to be possible. We'll just keep an eye on how much severe we expect. This is a typical risk area for December for severe storms.
Yeah, so if you're going to get it, this would be the area to generally look for it to happen here in the month of December. So we're going to be eyeing this closely. The ingredients coming together, including this cold front, which will be marching east with moisture to work with. That'll be getting pumped northbound here out of the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a pretty big dip in the jet stream coming in, and so that's going to provide some of the upper level energy. We'll have really strong low level jet winds, but also strong upper level winds too. So the combination of both and that changing of wind direction with height is going to give us that risk for some storms that may rotate.
Yeah, absolutely. Organizing things a bit more than just storms that would just flare up and die off a bit. So they'll be able to maintain themselves as the front continues to head off towards the east. There'll be some colder air coming in aloft as well. So that aids in the development of some of these storms that can get pretty tall and they can produce hail, damaging winds, and as they rotate, possibly some isolated tornadoes.
Yeah, and you saw that flooding concern too. So we really have all the risks and hazards here. This is the Euro model coming in Saturday into Sunday. I mean, a pretty rainy time of it here, especially Sunday. Looks like just a complete washout in the southeast, showing us some heavy rain concerns as we look ahead for the whole weekend.
Absolutely. Now, you do notice there's some blue shades showing up, some wintry colors popping up. The farther north you head, the better chance you get into that, Dr. Postel. You're watching how that may come together.
Yes, and we are going to see
Estimate the power of water.
Meteorologist Alex Wilson shows you how to be safe should floodwaters begin to rise. Yes, well, we've got more rain coming in, and the ground is just so saturated after like more than 10 inches of rainfall in some spots.
That's a lot.
Tremendous.
And we've got more to add on top of that. Seattle, look at your forecast. You're not drying out anytime soon. Maybe Friday is where you get a bit of a break, but it's short-lived. Right back to dealing with the rain heading through our weekend.
Yeah, at least it gets cooler. You know, I mean, that's not that I want you to have a cold rain, but the fact that it was so mild for so long, it was a problem.
Definitely hasn't helped us out in that department because that also helps and aids in snow melting, which eventually feeds into some of these rivers. So here we are through Sunday, more additional rainfall. Looks like centered here in terms of the heaviest. Oregon, 3 to 5 inches, pretty widespread when it comes to the rain.
Yes, so we've got this coming in, some starting today, but then continuing through the weekend. So again, that Friday is your brief break, and that's it really when you look at this forecast. Rainfall, it's already happening out there right now in Portland. There'll be a few showers around Seattle and down into Northern California, like around Redding.
Not too bad as you head east. That's where you'll find some drier skies, but they may not last too long because, again, several systems, they are lined up. It's like the Macy's holiday parade going on, right?
Thanksgiving Day parade.
They are lined up, and so those will all come on in and help to reinvigorate and enhance the threat for the precip, rain and snow.
It's a good analogy. They're kind of spaced out that you don't get too much of a break in between them. So, there'll be, again, a little break maybe Friday, but there's more to come. And again, this is an atmospheric river setup, so a lot of moisture contained within these storms.
Yeah, absolutely. So here we are looking at the flood watches in place, and these go through tomorrow, but as we showed you with more additional rainfall coming in, I'd imagine we will see flood watches extend beyond that time frame.
The atmospheric river is a category 4, and there's a scale that goes from 1 to 5. Once you get up to Cat 4 and Cat 5, it's the upper echelon. These are typically more problematic than they are beneficial. And now we're looking at that really focused in on Oregon, maybe up into southern Washington, but Oregon's really going to take the brunt of this next series of storms.
Absolutely. So watching for the impacts, not beneficial here to us. We've gone beyond that stage in a lot of these areas. But you can see how this all plays out. We'll see some of the precip extend in to the interior parts of the west. We start to see the break in the action. We talked about Friday, so there's your day to kind of enjoy a dry time. but it is quickly over with by the time we get to the weekend.
Yep, and here we go. The next one comes in now. Everything is colder. So now we've got more snow to talk about, especially in the interior, and we'll watch for that in the mountains of Idaho. I mean, Boise will get some snow, but especially go farther to the north up there and around Jackson Hole. We've got another maybe foot plus of snowfall.
How about more than that? 2 feet plus in the Cascades.
Yeah.
Give us a chance to add up.
That's where all the moisture is.
Indeed, indeed. So here in Portland, there's the break Friday. Saturday, Sunday, back to rain. But hey, brighter times maybe by Tuesday. Well, as the threats change.
Now, this is important. So we're going to start off today with our
Jackson today.
Whoa, okay. I don't know the answer.
Much above average it is there in the middle of the country. And so that kind of was a key point of all this.
Yeah, thank you for that.
More cities. Can you believe it? We've got more to talk about, right?
Okay. Yeah.
We've got a couple more cities. Jay, the plains are beating the southeast.
That west wind, the downsloping wind.
That's right.
That's what it can do.
Yeah. The wind direction is everything.
Yeah.
It's so much, especially this time of year. Jen, you're exactly right. We've got, can you believe it?
Super close.
Wow.
Well, how about them apples, right? I like it. So we did pretty good. Oh, we've got one more.
Oh, okay. All right. Stepped outside this morning.
I know, it was really cold. It was colder than I expected.
Yeah.
I forgot the leg warmers, and that was a big problem.
That was a blast. I think we should do this every block, every day.
Yeah, that was really fun.
You're such a great host.
Oh, thank you.
Well, we are talking temperatures. So here's the thing, Andrew. Don't worry. It is going to warm up, but it'll cool down here in short order.
Yeah, don't worry. You know it's going to come. Eventually, we're going to get to a point where we're all like, please take the cold away.
I know. You can go to Threads, send us your comments, vote in our poll, and we will